3 hours in this room cost an 18-year-old his entire 20s. He's 18, no lawyer, no parent. Detectives say he's just here to clear a few things up. He repeats that he didn't do it, over and over. 3 adults trained in interrogation. 1 exhausted teenager who's never sat in a room like this before. Detectives lie about evidence. We have your prints. We have witnesses. They switch between threat and comfort. One voice promising decades in prison, another promising this will all be easier if he just agrees. At some point, he stops trying to prove he's innocent and starts trying to make the pressure stop. He signs a confession to a murder there's no physical evidence he committed. He thinks signing means he finally gets to go home. So how do you take back a confession, signed at 18, after 3 hours in a room like this? This is how 3 hours of psychology created a killer and stole 18 years of an innocent life. The room has no windows. A single fluorescent light hums overhead, the kind that flickers just enough to notice, but not enough to complain about. Metal chair, bolted to the floor. Metal table. Scratched surface showing years of other conversations, other confessions, other outcomes. The temperature is controlled, not cold enough to make you shiver, not warm enough to relax, just uncomfortable enough to make you want to leave. There's a camera in the corner, red light steady, recording everything, except context. His name is Kyle. He's 18 years old, 5 months past his high school graduation, working part-time at a grocery store, stocking shelves on weekends, saving money for community college. He's been awake for 19 hours. He ate a sandwich around noon yesterday. Nothing since. His stomach makes sounds he tries to ignore. He was pulled over at 11:47 p.m. the night before. Traffic stop, broken taillight. The officer ran his license, made a phone call, asked him to step out of the car. Just need you to come downtown and answer a few questions. He asked what about. Nothing to worry about if you didn't do anything wrong. That line only sounds reassuring if you've never heard it before. He didn't ask for a lawyer because he didn't think he needed one. Why would an innocent person need a lawyer? That's what guilty people do. He's never been arrested, never been in trouble. The worst thing on his record is a speeding ticket from junior year. He thinks cooperation equals protection. Right now, Kyle believes he's here as a helper, a witness, someone who might know something useful about someone else. He does not yet understand that on the paperwork, next to his name, the box for suspect is already checked. 2 men, both in their early 40s, both wearing button-down shirts with sleeves rolled to the elbows, the uniform of people who work long hours and want you to know it. Detective Harris has a wedding ring, speaks in a calm, almost fatherly tone, leans back in his chair like he has all the time in the world. Detective Barnes doesn't wear a ring, sits forward, direct eye contact, sharper tone. He's the one who asks the questions that feel like accusations. They've done this hundreds of times. They know the rhythm. They know when to push and when to pull back. They know what tired looks like, what confusion looks like, what breaking looks like. Kyle has never done this before. Before they even start, they make him wait. 10 minutes, then 20, then 30. No phone, no watch. Just that humming light and the steady red camera. His sense of time starts to slip. Was that knock on the door 5 minutes ago? 15? This is not an accident. In interrogation manuals, this period has a name: softening up. You take someone out of their normal world, out of their routine, out of their control. You let them sit with nothing but their thoughts and the fear of what might be coming. Kyle shifts in the metal chair. The bolt in the floor reminds him there is exactly one right place for his body to be in this room. When the door finally opens, it feels like relief. Harris comes in first with a paper cup, sets it down. "Water for you, bud." He uses the word bud like a coach, not a cop. Barnes follows with a thin manila folder. He drops it on the table with just enough weight to make a sound. "Sorry to keep you waiting," Harris says. "We're just trying to get this all cleared up so you can get out of here, all right?" Those words sound like help. What Kyle doesn't hear is the unspoken second half. "As long as you give us what we're here for." They start easy. Name, address, where he works, what hours he usually does. Questions he can answer without thinking. Questions that make him feel like he's doing well, like he's being useful. Every answer he gives, Barnes writes something down. Kyle doesn't know this, but the more he talks, the more he is committing himself to a version of reality that the detectives can later use against him. Everyone in this room is older than Kyle. Everyone in this room is trained. Everyone in this room is certain, except Kyle. He was raised to respect authority. Teachers, coaches, police officers. You listen, you comply. You don't argue with people in uniforms. That respect is a weapon in a room like this. Harris calls him son once or twice. Not enough to be weird, just enough to land. Barnes calls him Kyle in a tone that feels less like a name and more like a reminder that they already know everything about him. The detectives aren't looking for the truth anymore. They're looking for agreement. And in this room at 2:17 a.m., with no lawyer, no parent, and 19 hours without sleep, agreement is going to be a lot easier to get than the truth. Detective Harris starts soft. Kyle, we appreciate you coming in. We know it's late. We just need to clear up a few things and then you can go home. Sound good? Kyle nods. Can you tell us where you were on the night of March 9th around 9:30 p.m.? March 9th was 4 days ago. Kyle tries to remember. He was probably at home, or maybe at his friend's place. They hang out most nights after work, but which night was the 9th? I think I was home, he says. You think? Or you know? I was home. Detective Barnes leans forward. Alone? Yeah, my mom was working late shift. So nobody can confirm that. No, I mean, yes, I was alone. Already the language is shifting. Nobody can confirm becomes nobody can back up your story. Detective Barnes slides a folder across the table. Doesn't open it, just taps it with his finger. We have evidence that puts you at the scene, Kyle. What scene? You know what scene? I don't know what you're talking about. Detective Harris' calm voice. Kyle, we're not here to play games. A man was killed on March 9th. We have your fingerprints on the weapon. We have witnesses who saw you near the area. Kyle's heart rate spikes. He can feel it in his chest, his neck, his temples. That's not possible. I wasn't anywhere near. Where did this happen? You're telling me you don't know? I don't know because I wasn't there. Detective Barnes, harder now. Then why are your prints on the gun? They're not. They can't be. I've never touched a gun. So our forensic team is lying? I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a mistake. Detective Harris, softer. Kyle, mistakes happen. People panic. Things get out of hand. But lying to us right now? That makes it worse. Kyle's voice cracks. I'm not lying. Kyle has never said no to people like this. He's 18. They're in their 40s. They have badges. They have guns on their hips. They have folders full of papers he can't see. In his entire life, authority figures have been right. Teachers corrected him when he was wrong. Coaches told him how to improve. His parents disciplined him when he messed up. Authority meant truth. So when these men, older, trained, certain, tell him he's wrong about his own memory, his own actions, his own life, part of him starts to wonder if they know something he doesn't. He doesn't realize yet that certainty and truth are not the same thing. Detective Harris leans back, friendly tone, almost disappointed. Kyle, I've been doing this a long time. I can tell when someone's being straight with me. Right now, you're not acting like a good person. I am a good person. Then act like it. Good people tell the truth. Good people don't make us sit here all night when they know what happened. The shift is subtle but devastating. It's no longer about what Kyle did or didn't do. It's about what kind of person he is. And in a room like this, at 3 a.m., exhausted and scared, being called a bad person feels worse than anything else. For now, Kyle still fights. I didn't do anything, he says. I was at home, I swear. Swearing doesn't make it true, Barnes snaps. Facts do. Evidence does. And right now, the evidence says you're lying. Harris sighs like a disappointed parent. Help us understand, Kyle, because the story you're giving us, it doesn't match what we know. What do you know, Kyle asks. They don't answer. Not really. They repeat the same claims: prints on the gun, witnesses he's never met, a neighborhood he only drives past on the bus. Each time he denies it, they don't back down. They repeat the accusation with even more certainty. In psychology, this has a name: repetition and confidence. Say something enough times, with enough authority, and it starts to feel less like an idea and more like a fact. To the person hearing it, and sometimes to the person saying it, Barnes changes tactics. Okay, let's say you weren't there when it happened. A pause, a tiny crack in the door. Maybe you didn't pull the trigger. Maybe you just know who did. Kyle shakes his head. I don't know anything about any of this. So you don't know the victim? I don't even know who that is. Barnes opens the folder a fraction, lets the corner of a crime scene photo show, closes it again before Kyle can really see. Then explain this, he says. Explain how your name came up. Explain why people are telling us you were involved. Nobody has said his name. Nobody has identified him. The people don't exist. But Kyle doesn't know that. In his world, adults don't invent stories like this. In this room, they do. Time keeps moving, but Kyle has no way to track it. The fluorescent light is the same. The hum is the same. The camera's red eye is the same. What changes is him. His mouth is dry. He can taste the stale air. The metal chair digs into his back. His leg starts to bounce under the table. A nervous rhythm he can't stop. Barnes notices. See that? That's what guilty looks like. Kyle clamps his legs still. Harris leans in, softer again. You know what innocent people do, Kyle? They help. They fill in the blanks. They don't get this defensive when we ask basic questions. But the questions stopped being basic a long time ago. They're not questions anymore. They're accusations with question marks at the end. For the first hour, Kyle resists. He keeps saying no. He keeps saying, I didn't do it. He keeps trying to drag his version of reality into the room. What he doesn't understand yet is that this room already has its own reality. And the longer he stays in it, the more it will try to swallow his. Detective Barnes starts asking the same questions, over and over, slightly different each time. Where were you at 9:17 p.m.? I told you, home. Okay, and at 9:30? Still home. What about 9:45? Home. So you were home the entire night? Yes. Then why did someone see you at the gas station on 5th Street at 9:20? They didn't. I wasn't there. So they're lying. I don't know. Maybe they saw someone else. Someone who looks exactly like you? I don't know. The questions don't stop. They loop, they overlap, they create a maze where every answer leads to another question and no answer is ever enough. They start drilling into the small things. What did you eat for dinner? I don't remember. Maybe leftovers. You just told us you had pizza. I thought that was the other night. So which is it? Pizza or leftovers? A normal memory lapse becomes a contradiction. A contradiction becomes proof that his entire story is unreliable. Barnes flips through the folder without really reading. The sound of paper is another reminder. They have records. They have facts. All Kyle has is what he thinks happened. See the problem? Barnes asks. You can't even keep your own story straight, but you expect a jury to believe you? There is no jury, not yet. But Kyle hears the word and imagines 12 strangers watching the worst version of him. Detective Harris' softer voice. Kyle, I want to help you, but you're making this really hard. Our witness is certain. The forensics are certain. The only person who seems uncertain is you. Kyle feels it, uncertainty creeping in. He knows he wasn't there. He's certain, but why can't he remember the night clearly? Why can't he prove it? Why doesn't he have an alibi? Detective Barnes. You seem confused, Kyle. That's okay. Memory is tricky, especially when you're stressed. Maybe you were there and you just don't remember it clearly. That happens. Kyle shakes his head. No, I'd remember something like that. Would you? People block things out. Trauma does that. I'm not traumatized because nothing happened, but the seed is planted. What if I'm wrong? Kyle believes that if he just keeps telling the truth, they'll see it. They'll recognize his honesty. They'll realize this is a mistake. He thinks his innocence is visible. It's not. The detectives don't see his internal certainty. They see his external behavior. Nervous, sweating, contradicting himself on small details like what time he ate dinner or which route he took home from work. To them, he looks guilty. To him, he's just scared. The micro-contradictions. Barnes goes after the details. You said you got off work at 8 o'clock. Yeah, but earlier you said 8:15. I don't know, around then. So which is it? I don't remember the exact minute. He doesn't realize that normal human memory is being held to an impossible standard. Every I don't remember is recast as I'm hiding something. Every I'm not sure becomes I'm changing my story. Kyle has been in this room for over an hour now. No water, no bathroom break, no phone call. He keeps thinking someone will interrupt. Someone will come in and say, "We made a mistake. You're free to go." Nobody comes. The door stays closed. The fluorescent light keeps buzzing. The camera keeps recording. He's alone with two men who are absolutely certain he's lying, and he has no way to prove he's not. Harris leans in. Look, maybe you didn't mean for any of this to happen. Maybe you just went there to talk. Maybe things got heated. Maybe it was an accident. Kyle shakes his head. I wasn't there. But can you see how it might look like you were? Harris asks. From our side? Kyle hesitates. It's a tiny pause. Less than a second. I guess, he says. It's not a confession. It's not even agreement. It's the first tiny crack, accepting their version as possible, even if just from their side. In interrogation psychology, this is a turning point. You move someone from no to maybe, from never to I guess. Once you're in I guess territory, you can start building a story together. The blurred edges of reality. Time is starting to smear. Was it really 4 days ago? Was it that night he stayed up late playing games? Or the night he crashed early? He tries to picture the living room, the TV, his phone, the exact sequence of events. But the harder he tries to remember, the fuzzier it gets. Barnes watches him struggle. See that? He says. That look on your face? That's what it looks like when someone's fighting the truth. Harris adds gently, sometimes your brain doesn't want to replay something bad. It protects you, but we need you to push through that, okay? We need you to remember. They're not asking for the truth. They're asking for a memory that matches theirs. And the longer this goes on, the harder it becomes for Kyle to tell the difference between what he knows and what they keep telling him. By the end of hour 2, he's still saying, I didn't do it. But it doesn't sound as certain anymore. Not to them. Not even to himself. Detective Harris's tone changes. Warmer now, almost sympathetic. Kyle, listen. I've seen this before. Good kids get caught up in bad situations. Maybe you were there. Maybe something happened that you didn't plan. Maybe it was an accident. Kyle's eyes widen. It wasn't an accident because I wasn't there. But if it was, that's different than murder, you know? That's manslaughter. That's a mistake, not a crime. The courts understand that. I didn't. Just hear me out. If you tell us what really happened, we can work with that. But if you keep lying, if you make us think this was intentional, that's bad for you, Kyle. That's life in prison. The logic is poisonous. Confess to something smaller, avoid something bigger. Except Kyle didn't do anything at all. But the detectives are offering him a way out of the pressure, a way to make this stop. Detective Barnes leaning in. Think about your future, Kyle. You're 18. You have your whole life ahead of you. Don't throw it away because you're too stubborn to admit what happened. I can't admit something I didn't do. Yes, you can, because cooperation matters. Judges look at cooperation. Juries look at cooperation. Right now, you're not cooperating. Detective Harris, we're trying to help you, but you're making it impossible. Just tell us the truth, and this all gets easier. Easier. That word lands. They talk about judges, juries, life in prison. Things Kyle has never really pictured before tonight. Now he can see them. A courtroom, a sentence, years disappearing. Kyle is exhausted, he's hungry, he's terrified. He wants this to end. The detectives are offering him an ending. All he has to do is agree. Kyle stops trying to prove his innocence. He starts trying to survive the moment. His thinking changes from, I need to make them believe me, to, I need to make this stop. Detective Barnes, were you at the gas station on March 9th? Kyle hesitates just for a second. I might have been. Might have? I don't remember. Detective Harris, gentle. That's okay. Memory is hard. Let's work through it together. You were at the gas station. What happened next? I don't know. Did you see the victim? I don't. Maybe. Maybe you did, and maybe something happened. An argument, maybe. Kyle's voice is barely a whisper. Maybe. He's not confessing because he believes it. He's confessing because he can't hold out anymore. This is the moment, the psychological breaking point. Kyle doesn't suddenly believe he's a killer. He doesn't have a new memory. He doesn't remember what happened. He just believes that agreeing is the only way to make the nightmare stop. They've taken away his sleep, his food, his sense of time, his confidence in his own memory. All that's left is compliance. Compliance is not the same as belief, but in a courtroom, it looks identical. By this point, the goal isn't truth. The goal is relief. And relief in this room only comes if Kyle signs his name under their version of his life. Detective Harris slides a piece of paper across the table. It's a typed statement, pre-written, waiting for a signature. This just says what we talked about, Kyle. You were there. Something happened. You didn't mean for it to go this far. Sign this, and we can all go home. Kyle's hand shakes as he picks up the pen. He reads the words, but they don't register. It's like reading a foreign language. The sentences describe actions he doesn't remember taking, events he wasn't part of, a version of March 9th that didn't happen. But the detectives are calm now. Their voices are soft. They're not yelling anymore. They're not accusing. They're relieved, and that relief feels like permission. Kyle is 18 years old. At 18, tomorrow matters more than 30 years from now. He thinks, if I sign this, I get to sleep. If I sign this, they stop asking questions. If I sign this, I can leave this room. He doesn't think. If I sign this, I go to trial. If I sign this, a jury sees my words and assumes I'm guilty. If I sign this, I lose 18 years of my life. Because in this moment, the room is the only reality that exists. He signs. The pen scratches across the paper, his name in shaky handwriting. Detective Barnes takes the paper, files it in the folder. Detective Harris stands. Okay, Kyle, you did the right thing. We'll get you processed. Processed? Yeah, you'll be booked. See a judge in the morning. Should be pretty quick. Kyle's stomach drops. Wait, I thought I was going home. You will, after arraignment. But I thought if I signed, you did, and that helps you. Trust me. The door opens. A uniformed officer steps in. I didn't do it, Kyle says. His voice is small, breaking. Nobody responds. The trial happens 9 months later. The prosecutor stands in front of the jury, confident, composed. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is simple. The defendant confessed. In his own words, signed and recorded, he admitted to being present at the scene. He admitted to the confrontation. He admitted to the act. The prosecutor plays a clip from the interrogation. 3 minutes. Kyle's voice shaky and exhausted. Maybe I was there. Maybe something happened. The jury watches. They don't see the 3 hours before that moment. They don't see the lies about evidence. They don't see the exhaustion, the manipulation, the psychological warfare. They see a confession, and in their minds, innocent people don't confess. Kyle's public defender tries to explain. My client was interrogated for 3 hours. He was 18 years old. No parent, no lawyer. He was lied to about evidence that didn't exist. He was told that confessing would make things easier. The prosecutor objects. Your Honor, the confession was voluntary. The defendant was read his rights. He chose to speak. The judge sustains. The jury hears. He had rights. He chose to confess. They don't hear. He didn't understand what those rights meant. He didn't know he could leave. He didn't know silence was an option. Guilty, first-degree murder. Sentence, life in prison. Eligible for parole in 18 years. Kyle stands when the verdict is read. He's 19 now, almost 20. He'll be 37 before he's even considered for release. Kyle replays the room in his head. Every night, every morning, every quiet moment. Did I say that? Why did I say that? He doesn't understand how it happened. How words came out of his mouth that weren't true. How his hand signed a paper that describes someone else's life. He tells other inmates he's innocent. Some believe him, most don't. The question is always the same. If you're innocent, why'd you confess? And Kyle doesn't have a simple answer. Because the truth, that he was broken down psychologically, that he was manipulated by trained interrogators, that he signed because he was 18 and terrified and thought it was the only way out, sounds like an excuse. It sounds weak. So eventually he stops explaining. He carries the confession like a scar, not because he believes it, but because the world believes it. His family believes it. Some of them anyway. His mother visits once a month. She asks quietly, "Did you do it?" And when he says no, she nods. But there's doubt in her eyes. His father stopped visiting after the first year. His friends from high school moved on. College, jobs, relationships, life outside the walls. Kyle is frozen at 18, stuck in a room that doesn't exist anymore, but never really ended. 16 years later, new evidence surfaces. DNA from the crime scene. Technology that didn't exist in 2005. A match in the national database. Not Kyle, someone else. A man with a record, a pattern, a history of violence. The real killer had been arrested 2 years after Kyle's conviction for a similar crime. Served 8 years, got out, killed again. Kyle had been in prison the entire time. The exoneration hearing lasts 40 minutes. The prosecutor, a different one now, stands and says, "In light of new evidence, the state moves to vacate the conviction." The judge grants it. Kyle walks out of the courthouse at 34 years old. He's lost his 20s, his mother's funeral, his father's remarriage, every milestone that defines a life. The state offers him compensation, a formal apology. It doesn't return 18 years. The system didn't fail. It worked as designed. This isn't a story about a broken system. It's a story about a system that did exactly what it was built to do. Get confessions, close cases, move forward. Nobody in that room set out to destroy an innocent life. They believed they were doing their job. They believed Kyle was guilty. They believed the confession proved it. And legally, they were right. The confession was voluntary. Kyle was read his rights. He wasn't physically coerced. But psychology doesn't leave bruises. 3 hours in a room can do what violence can't. It can make someone agree to a reality that isn't real. It can turn an 18-year-old into a killer without a single piece of physical evidence. It can steal 18 years and call it justice. Kyle was asked after his release what he would say to the detectives who interrogated him. He thought for a long time. Then he said, "I'd ask them if they ever think about that room, because I think about it every single day." The detectives were never disciplined. The interrogation was deemed lawful. The techniques were standard. The system corrected itself eventually. But correction doesn't erase what came before. 3 hours in a room, 18 years in a cell, and a question that never gets answered. How do you take back a confession signed at 18 after 3 hours in a room like this? If you believe stories like Kyle's shouldn't be invisible, share this video with one person, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications. And if you want to understand how this keeps happening, watch the next story.